Hey, Green Machine friends and fans of fun, we have our comic reviews for the week. And I'm going to try not to be spoilery, but I think I'm going to dial that back a little bit because there's a lot to discuss this week. It seems like the central theme was magic and soft or hard resets, it felt like. It almost felt like there was a real theme to these comics this week, so we're going to discuss that. We're going to start with Necessary Evil by Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I like the title of this event. However, this is wrapping up the whole the grid being broken. What was it? Beyond the grid, shattered grid, and then it went beyond the grid. And we found out that you find out at the beginning of this that the Rangers can reset the grid. They can reset the grid. They can rebuild things. However, in rebuilding it, they will lose all their memories. So it's a very limp-wristed way of handling it. However, they do introduce some new Rangers, one of which is Rocky, and I'm trying to remember the other ones. I think it's Rocky, Abby, and Adam. And these are actual Rangers from other teams, and the reason I know this is because one of the kids I used to teach made it a point to train me on the Power Rangers, so I know some of these characters. But overall, had a really good time with this book, even though the beginning was not a fan of that whole wrap-up. I think the Shattered Grid stuff did a lot. Like, a lot of people were really excited about it. And yeah, I would be a bit disappointed if that's how they wrapped something else up. Like, it didn't feel like much change. So, Well, anyways... But going into the new event looks okay. I'm excited about it. I'm not quite sure what they're hinting at. They're hinting at something. But Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 40 is a pretty good read. So if you like Mighty Morphin or you like Go-Go, you know who you are. Anyone else, I would say this is a good jumping off point if you want to jump in some Power Ranger stuff. Granted, it sort of wraps up with some of the Shattered Grid stuff that might leave you a little confused, but it's going into a new event, so go check it out. Next, we're going to talk about Superman Action Comics. And, well, it kind of centers around Lois Lane. Now, Superman himself is dealing with... That kid sounds like he's being murdered.
If you can't hear it, there's like a kid just screaming.
Like, we might need Batman. Or Superman. So anyways, it centers around Superman, who is dealing primarily with two things at the same time. One, he's dealing with his father's crisis out in space, and, trying to manage his son. Meanwhile, he's sort of dealing with Earth, trying to figure out what's going on with Leviathan. And he's doing it at Mach speed and, trying to be the good husband to Lois Lane. So, something wrong? Okay. So, yeah, it's kind of fun to see, although, I gotta tell you, it's not really a long-distance relationship. At the same time, it is. Because he's dashing around doing stuff. It must be a really weird way to live. Right? But, yeah, it was a really good read, and more importantly, I think... I've had a lot of these sort of questions about like superheroes and sort of dating life and stuff like that, and it's really interesting to see it put together like that. I like what Bendis is doing with that. I'm still I'm on the fence about Leviathan, but I think I'm excited about it because I'm trying to figure out who the character is, and I've got a lot of theories. But I don't know if it's like a terrible villain so far. Like nothing seems too sort of over the top just yet. So I'm still waiting to see. But anyways, Action Comics, if you're a DC fan, you should probably jump in. If you're a Superman fan, of course you're going to jump in. It's Action Comics. Next, we're going to talk about the counter to Action Comics, and that's Detective Comics. And this Detective Comics centers around Spectre. Now, Spectre, if you don't know, is a spirit tied to a detective. And this particular issue centers around the detective himself being separated from the spirit. And there's a cult that looks a lot like Spectre. So guess who Batman has to deal with? Yeah. So I don't know. It wasn't super compelling, and I have to say that the art felt, I don't know, a little old-timey to me. which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I wasn't having the best time with this particular one. It felt more like Kings of Fear, but I knew what to expect with Kings of Fear. With this, I'm sort of. I'm sorry. I guess some people are a little clueless. Attention to detail.
Yes, times 2.
Okay, so Detective Comics. This one, the Spectre. I don't know. I'm kind of not sold on the art per se. The art is a little.
With this wire,
I don't know.
somebody cut it.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know if it is my son's or whose it is.
We're not T-Mobile, so I God, my God,
The camera.
just
She's a nice enough lady.
she just does not give a crap that we're doing.
That's okay. Alright, so where were we? We're talking about the Phantom. We're talking about the Colts.
Okay, so the art has not sold me on this issue. I'm not the biggest. I can't believe I didn't even know she was walking back in.
Okay. That was funny.
God bless.
This is a live comic shop.
It's a live comic shop, but hey, guess what? We might be neighbors of T-Mobile, and T-Mobile might have closed, but we don't work for T-Mobile. So, like, we can't fix your phone, your charger, nothing else. Sorry, it's just not the way it works. Okay. I didn't even know she walked back in the last time. Okay, I'm a little rattled, but I'm gonna try and get through this. Anyways, so the art felt a little old-timey, and I wasn't really sold on it. It wasn't what I wanted from this comic, but maybe that's because the Spectre is at play, and they're going with this wild art direction for a reason. I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see. I would say that this is a perfect jumping-off point if you want a new event in Detective Comics, and if you're a DC fan or a Batman fan. However, I would say that this, if you are one people like me who are kind of picky about art, you might not like this very much. I don't know. I'm still sort of iffy. Next is a comic whose art I completely hated at first and then totally fell in love with, and that's Deadly Class. And so we had some terrible news recently that Deadly Class have been canceled, and we didn't even get to see him to run the rats. That's horrible. Like, I hope Netflix or somebody else picks it up and finishes it.
I think they're basing their ratings off of who's watching that night.
Yeah.
But that's one of those shows where you're going to DVR and you're going to watch the crap out of it.
You're gonna watch them later, and that, man, Deadly Class is such a good story. And the thing about Deadly Class is the main character. Well, first of all, the writer himself is such a good writer that shows in the main character, who himself is like a journaler and a writer, and there's just so much heart to what they put forth. So if you don't know about this, it's basically Maria and who is left alive? The German, I can't remember his name. Maria, Marcus. I can't remember everyone's name. Tell, I think, is his name. They all went back to King's Dominion, and they went back with the intent to pretty much rule King's Dominion, and decided they were going to shed the rat skin and become serpents and become the best. And that's where this picks off. And it doesn't sit well with some of the other kids at King's Dominion. They pretty much want to take them out. They want to take them out. And more importantly, they want to take them out because they become popular, and that makes them a target themselves. So it's interesting to see, and I'm really happy to see that Marcus, as a character, has changed and become a bit more ruthless like his environment dictates. And that really shows in this. So if you aren't reading Deadly Class, you need to come pick up these trades and get on this, because this is a really good read, like no joke. So come pick this up. Next is Mr. and Mrs. X, and well, Gambit's got himself a problem in that he's pissed off his Thieves Guild, and so they've taken action. And keep in mind, he's sort of the king of the Thieves Guild, so he's not really going to stand for it, but somebody is trying to like control him, nerf his power, and then sacrifice Rogue, I think is the plan, or kill Rogue. Yeah, that's the plan. But you know, it's Gambit, and dealing with thieves are kind of something he's used to, so it'll probably play out the way it does. I really like the way both him and Rogue are written, because not only do you get that whole spirit of romance between the two of them, but the characters just feel like they did back in like the 90s. Like it doesn't feel like much has changed, and that's in a good way. I mean, they write the characters so well. So yeah, Mr. and Mrs. X, it's pretty much mutant slice of life, and I would say it's one of the better mutant-related titles on our shelves these days. So come pick this up.
Yeah, like at first no one was buying it, but now everybody's
And now everybody's buying it. Yeah. Next is Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham, and this is the Spider-Man Annual. So if you don't know this character, I mean, you might know it from Enter the Spider-Verse, but if that's all you know this character from, you should know that this character came about in a time when I think it was the Ninja Turtles came about, and the Ninja Turtles, Usagi took off at the same time. A whole bunch of comics like came out of the woodwork. There was like adolescent hamsters, something, teenage adolescent hamster spin-offs. But Peter Porker and Spider-Ham was one of the characters. And in this particular one, I love the parodies they do with the different characters. There's Spider-Gwyn, and it's spelled Guin because that's a penguin. Yeah. There's tons of that in this, and I always love that they do that. I was particularly laughing at the end of this because they get to Secret Roars.
You said that, my eyes rolled.
The Secret Roars, where they've got to deal with, an animal, pretty much crisis. And, oh God, I got to get you the name of, behold, for I am Chiwatu, watchdog of Earth 831. Like, instead of the Watcher. I like that kind of stuff.
Dad humor.
I don't know. I've always liked that kind of stuff. But you should really go pick this up. I mean, first of all, it reads kind of like an old Spider-Ham, and the stories are sort of campy and fun. Second of all, I don't know. In my opinion, it was one of the really things I was fond about the 90s, was all those animal characters. I mean, they had Flaming Carrot too, but if you don't know, the Ninja Turtles reference the Flaming Carrot all the time. Because the Ninja Turtles didn't bring the Flaming Carrot fame at the time. The Flaming Carrot was already a thing before the Ninja Turtles. So I think that inspired Eastman and Laird, so they would reference it all the time. But yeah. So anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. Somebody threw me off today. Spider-Ham, go pick this up. This is the Spider-Man Annual, and it's a pretty good read. Next is Flash Year One, an amazing read. I have been having such a good time with Year One. This particular one deals with Flash getting shot and how he has to sort of phase through things without destroying it. And he's still haunted by the fact that he knows Turtle will eventually win. And he's got to figure out a way to counter Turtle, a way to end Turtle's reign, because he's been to the future. And so, yeah, he's trying to figure that out. And a lot of this is sort of coming to head. I think we're 4 issues in, and I wonder if this event's going to be a 5 or a 6 issue thing. I'm not sure. But if you don't know, all the Year Ones are pretty much just the Year One that the superhero has been operating at, and they're all really great. In fact, I would say the Green Arrow one is the best. Like, I had the best time with that. But Flash's Year One is a really big deal, so come pick this up. It's good. It's good. Granted, I think if you're going to jump in on this, you should probably get a couple issues back. But if you're a DC fan or a Flash fan, you'll be perfectly happy with this. Next is Road of Bones, and I had a lot of high hopes for this. The first issue was, the art was, I was kind of on the fence about the art. This one, the art looks much, much better. It's following guys that have escaped from a prison, and when they've escaped from the prison, one of them has sort of a demon that he was feeding. I think it's a demon, a monster of some kind, that he was feeding in the prison. That's followed him, and it's warned him that they don't have enough food to survive. So what's going to happen if they don't have enough food, and there's 3 of them? Yes, someone's going to get ate. And so it follows this, and I don't think there's a lot of depth in this issue, and I'm hoping that there's going to be more, but I wasn't getting a lot of depth. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, there was one point where they were talking about like sort of a Russian myth or fairy tale, and I was okay with that part, but the rest of it, there's not too much deep in this. It's the prisoners escape. They realize that they're in dire straits. They're sort of trying to get somewhere, and meanwhile, the guards have decided that they have to go. Well, they're told to go looking for them, but they're not going to go look for them because they're in Siberia. Like, why would you bother?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, it's okay. I'm hoping that it's because it's a slow burn. Maybe a couple issues from now, it'll be like a really good burn. But if you bought Road of Bones, you should probably go pick this one up. I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises for you, though. Just fair warning. So maybe issue 3 is the one. Now let's talk about something that is really awesome. And that is, yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
So that is Transformers and Ghostbusters. And it's hard to talk about this without talking about spoilers. So I'm gonna talk about some of it and try not to go too deep because Yogi's here and he loves this stuff. But it says crossing the streams after 35 years on the back, and I thought that was pretty funny. But so it opens with Cybertron, and it's got Starscream and Megatron and Soundwave, and pretty much all the usual suspects are there. And lo and behold, Gozer is there in Cybertron form. And what happens plays out very much like Ghostbusters does. Almost exactly the same. However, it deviates from there. It cuts back to the Autobots. It cuts back to the Ghostbusters. And what happens from there is... I would say there is some good fan service in there. Some stuff that happens. There is a specific Transformer ghost that if you know anything about the Transformers cartoons, you would know who this is that comes into play. And I thought that was a good detail. And there's a new Transformer, which you can already tell from the cover who it is.
It was a big spoiler that they released with that toy.
Yeah. So that comes into play. The setup is great. The banter is great. The art is great. It feels like a Ghostbusters comic should feel. I was not confused, which was a problem I had with crossing over. As much as I liked it, it was confusing at times. Because you have like 20 different Ghostbusters teams, and most of them are made up by the same cast. So that got a little confusing. But this one, not like that at all. The Transformers scenes are great. Whoever is writing this definitely knows both of the source material, so it's great to see. The dialogue is perfect. It's for a Ghostbusters story and a Transformers story. It's perfect. So this is what you want this week. Honestly, this is your pick of the week. Transformers Ghostbusters, had a great time with it. Was really happy to know that was good too.
Yes, that makes me happy too.
Yeah. Next is Conan the Barbarian. And, we've been dealing with something that has been drawn out. How many issues? We're at issue 7.
Blood God?
Blood God has not been resolved.
Jesus.
At all. Like, in fact, it's mostly been flashbacks while Conan's knocked out. I think every issue has ended with him being knocked out. And flashbacks. Him being dragged, yeah. So this one centers around him going to murder somebody, and he's got to use some women that he's bought. So that's... yeah. He is a barbarian, and it is, a fantasy story, but he's doing it to avenge someone he loved. And I thought that was kind of sweet. But it's... still knocked out, people. Still haven't resolved the Blood God. So... just so you're not confused, they've gone through a whole trade's worth of comics, and we still have no resolution on the original thing. So this is either one of the best stories ever told that is going to be the slowest of burns, which I'm hoping it is, or this writer has bitten off more than he can chew and can't figure out how to explain where he's going with this Blood God.
Punch a camel.
So it could go either way. I am, however, having a good time. Oh, the writer is Jason Aaron, so it's a safe bet that this writer has not bitten off more than he can chew, because Jason Aaron tends to know what the hell he's doing. So, Conan the Barbarian, go pick it up, because apparently this is the slowest burn ever, and I've got to just eat all those words I just said. So, yeah. And keep in mind, we aren't reviewing War of the Realms this week, because we it got very few issues of War of the Realms because so many people subscribed that it just took all of our issues from the shelves. So, if you've been reading War of the Realms, you already know that this has been an amazing event. Amazing event. And if you have not been subscribed, you're going to have a hard time finding those books in our store. We could probably special order for you. But, yeah, so that's why we're not reviewing them this week. There's really no point for us to do that. Jason Aaron killed it. That's all we need to say. So next is Rick and Morty. And, well, look at the cover and tell me what's going on here.
Old man Morty?
Yeah, maybe. Nah, it's just Morty's got a friend and someone's jealous. So it plays out like a Rick and Morty episode. There's not too much to write home about. You know what kind of humor you're getting. It's just, I don't know. None of them has hit as hard since the D&D one. I feel like the D&D one, my Rick and Morty comic experience peaked.
It's the side stories, man. Those are the good ones.
The side stories are the good ones? Okay.
Like the Mr. Meeseeks and all that.
Well, it's an episode of Rick and Morty, so if that's what you want, then come and get it. I wouldn't say it was a particularly great episode, but if you want to jump in on some Rick and Morty, this is the perfect chance to do it. So there you go. It's hard. It's hard. Like I feel when I talk about that comic, one, I'm comparing it all to that D&D one, which I loved. And then two, I'm comparing it to the TV show, which is a natural thing to do. But the way the TV show hits with their jokes, like, it just doesn't come the same in comics. Yeah, it doesn't come the same in comics. And it's kind of hard. It's hard to compare the two. I almost feel like with that one, they have to do something different to make it appeal, which is why that Dungeons and Dragons one was great. Okay. Next is Fight Club 3. And I got to tell you, there is a lot of things in play. So what we know that ideas breed people in this Fight Club universe, and that's the central theme of the Fight Club 2. Ideas breed people. People do not breed ideas. So that's at play in this. There is also a whole bunch of stuff at play, and guaranteeably you're going to be confused. But that's because that's the way Chuck Palahniuk writes. And eventually it's going to be explained, and it's usually a pretty good reveal. However, it's not explained in this issue. In fact, I was all confused and trying to get to the bottom of it, and it's jumping around through history, and the art is amazing. So I'm really excited. Like, I can't wait for the reveal. So I would say if you're not on board with Fight Club, come pick it up. We've got some back issues. But this is great just for the art alone. Is it going to peter out like it did at Fight Club 2? I don't know. I don't know if the end is going to be that bad. I think the next issue is going to be a reveal. And I say that bad because I didn't have a good time with the ending of Fight Club 2. Love the art, though. So Fight Club 3, so far, so good. Come pick this up. I'm still laughing about that.
Yes, that was an interesting incursion, to say the least.
She's a wild one. Let's just say a regular of them all. That's a wild one. Next, we're going to talk about a book called Samurai Grandpa. Hadn't heard about it. I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm the one that ordered it because since I like Usagi Yojimbo and TMNT, I have a tendency to go towards the samurai stuff. And the weirder, the better. I think Cold-Blooded Samurai was probably my deal, too. You like it, yeah. Ronin Island, I probably ordered that one.
That was definitely because they had the young variant.
Yeah. So Samurai Grandpa, I have to tell you that at first I wasn't a fan of the art because the art feels a lot like pencil with watercolors on top at first. And then it sort of gets to like stronger ink. So it's ink and watercolors, it looks like. And the watercolors themselves become very beautiful. So I really liked them about the third page. I started getting into it. One thing I do really like about this story is it plays out, it feels like a samurai fairy tale. So it's a samurai. He's an old and seasoned samurai. His son gets killed. He's got to go figure it out and avenge his son's death. And meanwhile, he wanders into the realm of supernatural that seems to know him from his youthful days. So it's a pretty good showing. It feels like Usagi, and Usagi felt like old Japanese swordsmanship films, and that's a good thing. So I had a real good time with this, and this This is Source Point Press. Hadn't heard of them. And then Sean Daly, Easton Deverna. The art is wild. I have to tell you. I really didn't like it like the first page, and by the third page, I really liked it. I've never been swayed so quickly. It's just I have a thing for really cool looking watercolors, and this is definitely one of them. So anyways, go pick this up, Samurai Grandpa. I don't know how many copies we have. It's a 1 of 4. So far, so good. Yeah, so go grab this. Ogre on the back is Sean Daly is an absolute phenom. Okay, I might pick up Ogre then too. Anyways, next is Justice League Dark. We don't have the main cover for this. I don't know where the main cover is. We have the Swamp Thing variant. We need to talk in depth about Justice League Dark. So we know that the Lords of Order are in play. The Lords of Order, if you don't know, that's Dr. Fate's, the Wizard of Dr. Fate. Was his name Namu? I think is his name. And if you don't know, there are other artifacts that all sort of turn people into Lords of Order, which are all like Dr. Fate-esque characters. They all have the golden helmet. But meanwhile, the helmet seems to be acting on its own. It's controlling things. And what it's trying to do is... at the beginning of Justice League Dark, we had these creatures that came from the past, and they were trying to devour magic. And so apparently the Lords of Order are afraid that all of magic and all of existence is going to be destroyed. So they're, I guess, demagicifying is a nice way of putting it. They're removing magic from magical people. And they're basically devouring all of magic, or handing it over to be devoured. And they're doing it with order magic. And most of DC Comics has followed rules. We had the Witching Hour, which was like the rules they were trying to rewrite the rules, and it wasn't, they prevented it. And now they're using the rules of order. Now, what do we know about some of these rules? We know Zatanna, how does she do her magic? Backwards, right? It inherently has been backwards. Constantine always has little rules for the reason certain things are certain ways. Now, here's the catch. The last issue, we saw Zatanna and Wonder Woman tap into chaos magic, which we haven't seen too much of in DC. And so that was interesting to see. They looked really cool. On top of that, in this issue, they go to engage with chaos magic versus order magic, and to actually rip apart order magic. And the way it is drawn in this book is amazing. It is awesome. It doesn't just break the third wall at times, it rewrites it. On top of that, Zatanna's magic, she's not speaking backwards in this, she's using chaos magic. Guess what? Her letters are all jumbled. I had to like word scramble some stuff to figure out what she was casting. And more importantly, the rules of DC's magic are going to change. Even better, there's a whole exchange in this comic between Batman and Wonder Woman. Now, if you don't know, Justice League Dark originally didn't feature Wonder Woman, it had Batman in it. So Batman has experience with magic, and he gives her a warning and explains that the rules of magic as they're written right now with order, if magic users had decided that they wanted to rewrite the universe or they wanted to screw with something, and enough magic users wanted to do it, it would be done. And Batman warns about that. So that's part of why the rules are changing now. And it's cool to see. And I'm anxious to see where it goes. So Justice League Dark is amazing. If you like magic or you like magic systems, and you want to get on the ground floor as they're rebuilding sort of a new one. I think they've rebuilt it twice, it feels like. But this has been an awesome run. Come pick this up.
Does it have any relevance to what happened with Doomsday Clock?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I wish it would. But that was borderline insulting. Not borderline. It was really insulting.
Yeah, Dr. Manhattan pulled that freaking string.
Yeah, and Dr. Manhattan was like, you call this magic? This is just like glitches in existence. And he like brushes it away like it's nothing. Like you fart. You blue fart. I'm so mad at Dr. Manhattan. So okay. Doctor Strange. Now, this had Galactus and Dormammu. And Dormammu was going to take control of Galactus and make Galactus his herald. Does that happen? What do you think? We're talking about a creature of magic that controls a realm versus a cosmic science entity. Guess who takes precedence? Probably Cosmic. But I'm not gonna beyond that. I'm not gonna tell you. I love the way it played out. I like the way it played out. I do have a couple of complaints. One, I'm not sure what's going on with the art, but the art for previous issues was much stronger. I'm not sure what is happening. Did they swap out an artist? It doesn't feel as awesome as it did. This feels more like that Defenders sort of.
The Namor stuff.
Yeah, it's got kind of a different feel to it. On top of that, the storyline is not as strong as I wanted it to be. It was still fun. It still plays out like, some typical Doctor Strange stuff, but I don't know. There's a lot of action. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm being critical of Marvel's magic after reading that Justice League Dark. Could be. It was a pretty good read. The art I'm a little iffy about, but I'm picky. So go pick this up if you like Doctor Strange. If you like the magic stuff, go pick it up. Okay, let's not be hard on this because one thing. So what happened in this was, remember how Galactus was in the magic realm? He was rewriting existence and rewriting science as magic. And that was really cool to see. Because Doctor Strange is if nothing else, it's very surreal usually. And it got pretty wild in this issue. So I will say that. Plus, it's changing magic systems, which is really cool to see. On a cosmic level, no less. But yeah, so Doctor Strange, I would say don't jump in on this issue, though. Maybe wait. No, actually, you could probably jump in on this issue and be okay. Yeah. Okay. Next is the Goon, and man, this was awesome. This was totally awesome. If you don't know, Goon is fighting a mummy. That mummy was a pharaoh that was cursed by a cat god and placed a curse on his tomb too, so that whoever found him, the mummy would destroy everything they loved. So the guy that found him, immediately the mummy goes and kills all his friends, goes and kills all his relatives, and then stops letting him eat things he likes to eat. So it literally shows him like eating cod livers and something else, and the mummy's like, no fish and chips. And so then the guy decides, well, I'm going to go start, using this to my advantage. So he says, well, he goes to a mafia boss and goes, who's troubling you? Can you hire me? I'll take care of him. And he goes and tells the mummy, like, so-and-so has been skimming off the top from this other mafia boss, and he's now my best friend. So go kill him. And the mummy does it. So if you don't know, that's probably going to eventually put him on a collision course with the Goon. And it plays out great. It's great. I honestly, I love everything Eric Powell and Rachel Cohen these days. I think I've loved everything Eric Powell since I read Hillbilly 1. But it's great. He really can't go wrong with any of these. They play out well. The dialogue is written well. The kids get amazingly deep in this storyline, and I loved it. So if you aren't reading The Goon right now, I'd have to ask what's wrong with you. So next is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And this is that comic line that centers around the Galaxy's Edge stuff at Disney, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, this is it's a wild ride. There are so many characters that are involved. There is a character from Rogue One that's in here. More importantly, there's a character from the main comics line. Should I just say it? I'm gonna spoil it. I'm gonna say it.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
I'm gonna say it. It's Dr. Aphra's in this, and I love Dr. Aphra. Like, she goes back and forth. Sometimes she sees the Imperials are bad guys, and sometimes she sees that the Rebels are bad guys, and so she's pretty cloudy. And on top of that, she's got a couple droids that are the evil versions of C-3PO and R2-D2. So yeah. So it was cool to see that she's in play here. They're really pulling out all the stops. So I have to ask if Dr. Aphra is in place at Galaxy's Edge. I hope she's involved somehow. I really hope.
One ride that hasn't opened yet. Maybe.
Ooh, I hope she's involved. Okay. Well, anyways, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think if you're a Disney fan and if you are going to the parks, to experience this. I don't know why you wouldn't be reading these. And on top of that, these are pretty entertaining comics. Like, I had a good time with it. But
Canon for the parks.
they're canon for the parks. They center around an Ithorian, and I like the Ithorians. I think they're really cool characters. So yeah, go pick this up. Next is something I didn't know I wanted, and that was Wolverine Exit Wounds. If you don't know, pretty much there's a god of X-Men writers, and the main god is Chris Claremont, and Chris Claremont is involved in this. It's got Chris Claremont, Salvador LaRocca, Scott Eden, Larry Hama, Sam Keith, and it's 3 stories. It's divided into 3 Wolverine stories. They're pretty good. One of them centers around the Weapon X program, which I thought was pretty cool. One of them is sort of just a fun time in Japan, which I thought was also pretty cool, which, you know, Wolverine's got some roots in Japan. And then one of them was just sort of like, hey, let's get wicked and pit Wolverine up against someone and have it drawn by in a very surreal manner. I mean, it's really surreal. It's kind of wild.
Batman on the Max.
Yeah, and I liked it. I had a really good time with that art. So, anyways, Wolverine Exit Wounds. If you're a Wolverine fan, I would say go pick this up. I don't think this is the book to pick up if you're going to jump in on mutant stuff. I think you should probably go pick up a different mutant book. However, if you love Wolverine, and most people do, this is a pretty good read. The last book on our list is Batman Damned, and did not disappoint at all. Okay, did not disappoint at all. I do have to warn you, though. So, it became apparent in the first couple issues that Batman was dealing with magic and possibly life and death. And a lot of that comes into play. The one warning I have to give you is this reads like the Grant Morrison Arkham Asylum at times. And the Grant Morrison Arkham Asylum, if you don't know, is a really, really good story. However, the way it is drawn and the way it is written, it is like experiencing schizophrenia. It really, really is like a severe jolt to the brain at times. And this is very similar. The ending was quite chilling. I like how it played out. I can't say more of that without destroying everything, but it does center around like life and death. It does center around magic, and it was a very, very, very good story. I was not disappointed in the ending, although it was a hell of a ride, and at times it was wild, it was confusing, it was disturbing, and I think honestly it's everything it should be when you're dealing with those kind of topics. That sort of thing does make sense. We got the X-Men song up in here. But yeah, so Batman Damned. If you haven't read Batman Damned #1 and Batman Damned #2, do not pick this up. You will be confused as you have. I don't know. I can't think of. If you watch the Matrix trilogy out of order, you will be that confused. All right, that's the truth. So don't do that. But go pick up Batman Damned #1, Batman Damned #2, and then come pick this up, or come pick this up if you've been reading it, or pick up the trade when it comes out, because it was great. The art was amazing. Like, I really honestly think for the art alone, it's totally worth checking this out. The storyline the ending was just quite chilling. It was great. So I need more people to read this, though, because we need to talk about it. There needs to be a lot of talk about the psychology at play in here. So that's our show for the week. We do have to do the drawing really fast. Let's do the drawing. 86. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I don't know what else to talk about this week. There was a lot of comic news.
Yeah, I'm ready for you.
Oh, you ready? Okay,
Yeah.
86.
Nick Stankovich.
Nick Stankovich. You want a poster?
All right.
Number 2.
Number 2. Oh, Shale Hammond.
Cheryl Hammond. Cheryl Hayes. You want a poster? Same person. 58.
All right, and that is Andrew Seto.
Andrew Cito, you want a poster. So that's our show for the week. Should I? We have we have a contest right now. It's a $30 purchase, and you enter to win a Captain Marvel Collector Core box giveaway. So every $30 purchase will get you one entry to win that comic Collector Core. And it's got pretty much binary pop of Captain Marvel, which is amazing. So come spend $30 and get an entry. And also, we have our Comic Fest that's coming up. We are still in the planning phases. It's about a month and a half away, a month and a week.
Yeah.
But it's New Confest. We're going to hopefully have a beer vendor. I think we're trying so that we can have adult fun. And then we're also going to have a band, so for more adult fun. And then we're going to have cosplayers for everyone.
No band. We got DJs.
DJs, sorry, we have DJs. And then we're going to have a bunch of comic shops selling stuff. We're going to have a pop collector group doing a trade event all day. What else?
I'm working on getting the balloons and the face painters, but
Yeah, we should have a podcast or two recording live. We'll do a live review show, which we've never done. I can't wait to do that. We are trying to secure some comedians for a stand-up comedy hour or two.
yeah.
And then we'll do some fun. We'll do some panels on comics. We'll do some panels on. We'll do some improv panels, some fun panels. And we also have a science fiction fantasy film fest.
Yes. Chris
Wow,
Garcia,
we
right?
have a lot of stuff.
We have
Yeah,
an
Chris
event.
Garcia, Hugo Award winner Chris Garcia has happily volunteered a film festival too. So it's going to be a really fun event. It'll be 2 days. We'll try to chock it full of as much excitement as we can. And so come on out, New Confest, July 27th and 28th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And thanks to Menlo Park Library for having me us over last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And Baycon, you guys still rock. Thank you very much for all the help. And to my younger brother Robert, I'm gonna miss you, bro. Have fun in New Mexico.
Yeah. So there you go. That's our show for the week. The dance.